Documents obtained by our news center reveal that from as far back 7 years ago, 2013, the state-owned sugar company Jamaica Holdings Limited (SCJ) had told Northern Trelawny MP, the PNP's Victor Wright, that he was not going to be given the option to buy the government-owned house he was occupying in Westmoreland. That's from as far back as 2013, and that was under the Simpson Miller administration. Yes. Well, the documents reveal details of this latest corruption saga that is now the subject of a political dogfight between the government and the opposition. Mr. Wright, who is the opposition spokesman on agriculture and rural development, has denied any wrongdoing. The PNP has gone on the offensive as well. But this is the state of play, as reported by Turner Thomas, in terms of where we are, in terms of the documentary evidence that we have. We don't profess to have everything, but this is where we're at this morning.
Mr. Wright told our news center yesterday that he has an option to purchase the state-owned house, which is located in Frome, Westmoreland. The opposition MP also suggested that he has an existing lease arrangement with the SCJ.
I have a lease with an option to purchase, and I'm waiting on SCJ Holdings to fulfill their end of the bargain.
However, a letter which has been obtained by our news center suggests that 7 years ago, the SCJ had told Mr. Wright that it has not extended to him the option to purchase the government-owned house. The letter, which is dated October 3, 2013, was written by SCJ legal manager Debian Kerr. The SCJ told Mr. Wright that it has noted his intention to purchase the house under a lease agreement which was in effect at the time. But the SCJ told Wright that, quote, as provided in Clause 22 of the agreement, the right to exercise the option to purchase is conditional and, to date, has not been granted, end quote. The SCJ told Mr. Wright that it would extend his lease agreement until 2014. Another document seen by our news center shows that in June 2014, a second letter sent to Mr. Wright by the SCJ legal manager told Wright that he's been served with a notice to vacate the house based on outstanding sums of money and the expiration of the lease agreement. Yesterday, the opposition spokesman on agriculture admitted still occupying the house, but says he's not doing so illegally. But to date, he's not provided a current lease agreement to support his claim. In another development, a letter written yesterday by the managing director of the SCJ Holdings Limited, Joseph Shakir, to the permanent secretary in the Agriculture Ministry and other ministry personnel has been obtained by our news center. The letter stated that, quote, notwithstanding the termination of the lease, Mr. Wright continued occupation of the house, end quote. According to the letter written by the SCJ managing director yesterday, in 2014, Mr. Wright made a payment of $18,000 towards rent. Mr. Shakir says the records show no further payment of rent has been received on Mr. Wright's account since 2014. In outlining the case of alleged illegal occupation of the government house spanning several years, Mr. Shakir says up to this year, Mr. Wright is owing rent totaling $674,000. The letter from the SCJ managing director to the Agriculture Ministry also insisted that the opposition MP has racked up a light bill in connection with the house totaling at minimum $2 million. Yesterday, Mr. Shakir told our news center that moves will be made to retrieve the sum from Mr. Wright.
Absolutely. Once we have precise numbers, steps will be taken to recover the payments that SCJ has made and or are due to SCJ by way of rent. Well, I have been acutely aware of it for some time because large electricity bills were being generated at home. And I inquired as to what was the cause of these large electricity bills. And this was highlighted to me as being a significant contributing factor.
But Mr. Wright denied owing any money and claimed that he had receipts to support his claim that he's not owing any money in connection with either electricity or rent.
No, there's no millions of dollars for me. I mean, there's absolutely no truth. The light bill is being paid to Pan Caribbean Sugar, not, and I have all my receipts up to date. It's the light bill I'm paying directly to Pan Caribbean Sugar, and I'm up to date in my payments, and I have all the receipts.
Mr. Wright took to Facebook yesterday and released a letter where in 2014 he had contested the claim from the SCJ that he's owing rent in connection with a government-owned house. He also insisted that he has receipts to support his claim that he's paid the electricity bill in full. But up to news time, Mr. Wright has not released the receipts to substantiate his claim. It's understood that the SCJ has sought legal advice with a view of using the court to settle its dispute with the opposition MP. Tawna Thomas for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Tawna, for that report. Well, that brings you up to speed. I think there's more to come on this story. This is what you call a developing story, yes? So let's watch and see what happens over the next 24 to 48 hours. I don't think this one is over just yet.